Today we're going to start looking at how I create an accompaniment on acoustic guitar, specifically acoustic. You can apply these concepts to electric as well though, to accompany a singer or perhaps another instrumentalist. But for now, we're going to really focus on accompanying a singer. The first thing we must do is determine which key is most appropriate for the singer given their range and the emotion they wish to draw out of the song. That becomes, that's paramount before any considerations about chords and so forth that we use on the guitar. So I'm going to use Elton John's Rocket Man as an example because I regularly play this with my partner Bianca, and she sings it in the original key, which is G minor or B flat. So we're going to work from there. So we've determined the key. The next thing is I want to consider how I'm going to create some interest in the accompaniment. Now for this, I've chosen to use a capo at the 3rd fret and play chords that are essentially out of the key of G or E minor. But because the capo's taken it up to the 3rd fret, it pushes it up to being in the right pitch for the song, which is G minor or B flat. But from now on, I'm going to refer to the chord shapes, not the actual pitch, so we don't get confused. The opening motif is played with an E minor to an A7 chord shape. Now I'm using a pick for this and I'm arpeggiating a lot of the notes. I will go into strumming often during the chorus to build some dynamics, lift the interest, lift the energy, etc. But for now, we're just going to focus on the verse and what I'm doing there. So I've got an E minor to an A7 chord shape. Now, another thing that we can consider with this is how we can create some movement within the chords. By that I mean some melodic movement. So over the E minor, I might just play that. So I'm not adding anything in, it's a straight E minor chord shape. The A7, let's have a listen to what I might do. You can hear that in there. So I could go from an A7, I could put my pinky down onto the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and make it an A7 sus4. I can come back to the A7. I can go to an A7 sus2 chord. Those little movements, with the notes on the 2nd string, that movement there creates some interest, melodic movement, whatever you want to call it, colour on the chord. Makes it a little bit more interesting than just simply strumming an A7 chord. So E minor to A7. Now the intro of the song is E minor to A7 as well. So you can play that same sort of thing for as long as you want. Then the first few bars of the verse are that same shape. The next part has a descending bass line, and this is one of the reasons why I've picked this key in terms of the shapes to play the song, because it allows me to build a bass line like this, which is very, very strong. So it walks down going, it's a C shape to a G over B, A minor 7, A minor 7 with a G in the bass. Now the next chord you could either play a D, or if you wanted to, and I do this sometimes, you could actually finish on the F sharp note, and I'm using my thumb to play that, which is on string 6. So that would be a D over F sharp chord shape. I'll just play that and you can hear the effect. I just skipped through a little bit there to go into the chorus. So, but you could hear that effect. Learning your inversions is really invaluable for playing. So by that, I mean the order of the notes, also which note is the bass note. Now, some people seem to think that the bass note is the root note of the chord. They can obviously be the same, but not always. So if I'm playing through here, you can see I'm going from a C chord shape, G over B, A minor 7. So I've got this bass line, C, B, A. Then I'm going to play a G note in the bass, which will become A minor 7 over G. And then when I played it then, actually I did jump up to a D, which is the open 4 string. And I'm playing that. Now that builds melodic interest, it really reinforces the chord movement, creates colour, etc., which is fantastic. But it doesn't get in the way of the vocalist, and that's really important as well with all of this. Now, as I said, I sort of just sped through a little bit of that. I'll just jump to the chorus. Now, this is where I might start strumming. You know, much of the chorus is a B flat to an E flat chord. Now, because I'm using the capo, playing at the 3rd fret, I'm playing in this, I'm going to actually change it. I'm going to play a G to a C add 9 chord shape. One of the reasons why I'm doing that is that playing a C add 9 allows me to keep these top strings sustaining throughout. When we're playing solo acoustic guitar, the natural sustain on the instrument's pretty much non-existent really. We want to let things ring out for as long as possible because it actually creates a smoother, richer, more resonant sound, more pleasing, etc. So when I go to play the chorus of this, I would probably start strumming. Now, people that know me will also know that I often don't play anything exactly the same way. So today I'm going to do this. Next time I actually perform it with Bianca, or perhaps another singer, it could be well different. So, the first part of the chorus, I might do that, which is just strumming between those 2 chords. Though I did use this note, which would be a G over B chord shape. It's a bit like the Violent Femmes Blister in the Sun sort of thing, but I'm doing that because that's creating some movement, and we want that because movement creates interest. We can also do things like those little country sort of hammer-ons and pull-offs through those chord shapes can make a bit of a difference. Or we can walk up. So, I might do something like that for the first part of the chorus. Now, the next part, Elton, when he put this together, has stepped out of the key momentarily and plays, he's playing a C major chord. We're going to consider it an A chord shape because of the capo once again. So coming through that, I was going a little bit out of tune. Anyway, so I'm just using that principle of walking through the notes in the lower register to create some movement with the bass line. And so, yeah, going between the G chord shape, C add 9 chord shape, that little walk down, I'm going from a C chord shape, G over B chord shape, to an A chord shape, then a walk up into the C, and then I might do something like that, which is just a hammer on strings 4 and 5 at the 2nd fret on both, and then back into the G, or I could do hammer on pull off or whatever. So that's my approach. Now there's some other text to accompany this. Read that and have a think about what, a song that you might arrange, and start applying some of these ideas to that.